ClickUp has their own in-house automations, which are very useful for different purposes and enough for many simple workflows such as automated notifications, comments, assigning tasks, or updating status if anything happens. However, they are kind of limited. If you want to implement some advanced features in your own system, or if you want to integrate third-party tools, you'll probably need to automate outside ClickUp. In this video, I'm going to share with you how you can break these limits and create advanced automations for your own ClickUp system. And don't worry, you don't need any technical skills to make this happen. And I'm also going to share with you three automations that I've built, uh, what they do, how I built them, so maybe you have new ideas to implement in your own system. ClickUp is one of the most used apps at the moment, both for my own businesses and my client and the clients I work with. And these automations that I'm going to share with you, they are real automations working as we speak in the real world. So without wasting any more time, let's jump right in. Hi there, I'm Miguel from FlowShift.ai, an AI automation studio that builds and creates complex systems with automated processes using no code and AI. Today I'm gonna share with you these three automations. So let me quick run overview of what we're gonna go over today. So on ClickUp, the first automation is imagine you have three different projects with three different task lists, and every task list has their own tasks, and they have every task has their own status. So there's status for the tasks, there's time estimates for each task, and there's time tracked by you or your team on each task. So you have three different projects with three different task lists with different status estimates and time track. We will build an automation that will basically gather all this information into a centralized dashboard where we'll basically see the project progress, the total time estimates, the total time track, and this will be automatically updated daily or how often you would like. We could also implement some other features such as the current phase the project is at, the assigned team, and you can build some other automations on top as I've built, but I won't go over them in this video, like for automated invoices, automated proposals, and so on. If you'd like to know more information about this, I have a video specific on this. The second automation is it's a simple one, but it has a very important concept that I want to explain. It's the automation to its action by tag. So imagine you have a task and someone assigns tags the task with two different tags, and then we have an automated action. In this case, we're just splitting that task into two duplicates, uh, one for each tag. But we can have any other action. The third one is linking tasks to a current release. So imagine we have a task list with different tasks and different status, and we have a release list. So basically, when a task is set to a certain status, the automation will search for the current release, and it will link the task to that current release, and also will update the release notes. This is surprisingly more useful than it seems, and we've used it in different purposes. So how are we going to build this? For these, we will be using, of course, Make.com. Make is a no-code automation platform that allows to integrate thousands of different apps and build complex systems with a very nice-looking and intuitive interface. This is how we will unlock endless possibilities and power up our ClickUp system. Both ClickUp and Make are free to get started with, and if you use the links in the description, you will be supporting the channel. Thank you. Okay, jumping into the automations. The first automation is the project's overview. So I've created two test spaces just to show you. So we have a management space where only managers have access to, and we have the project's overview, which is basically a list with the different projects, the service we are providing, the current progress, budget, rates, time estimates, which is the total, time track, time remaining, which is just a calculation, time used, assigned team, ghosts, and so on. And then we have the delivery space, which is this case is test delivery, and we have the different folders, one folder per client or per project, and this is where the delivery team works on a daily basis. So, for example, inside every folder, there's a few different lists. Bugs and tasks is our task list. So, if we see inside bugs and tasks, we'll have the whole task list the team is working on. In this case, it's grouped by status, and here we have the time estimate for that task, the time track, the hours remaining, and whatever custom field we would like. So what we want is somehow to calculate the totals of every folder and connect it to the project overview. So for this, we need to link these lists with each folder. So that's what we're going to do in make.com. So it will eventually look like something like this, but this is cheating, and we will create a scenario from scratch. So if you open make.com and you create a new scenario, the first thing we need to do is we will look for projects that don't have a delivery task ID, the delivery task list ID. So we need a list ID to link the project's overview with every task list. So the first thing we're going to do is we will look for projects list ID. This is the list ID. Share. By the way, this is not the perfect way to do it. It's just a way that's working. So you might find a different way. So this is the list ID, and I want to search for custom ID. 1 second. Let me get. I need to find these custom fields to search only for the empty ones. And for that, there's this action here, which is list all accessible custom fields. And we will look that in that list. And now we just need to find, there we go. Delivery task list ID. This is the custom field we want to search for. I copy the custom field ID. And I want to search for is not set. So in this case, I'm searching for projects that don't have a delivery task list ID set yet. And if we test this, it will give me 0 ID lists. What? 44. Management. It's not in management, it's test management. I forgot I'm doing just a video. Okay, there we go. Bundle 1, 2, and 3. So I have my clients there. Okay, next I need to find, I need to search for these folders so I can find the task lists. So I need to list all folders. List all folders. I can select the space, workspace is here, and do test delivery. Okay, now the output I get a list. I get an array of the different lists. So basically, inside every one of these folders, there's different lists. I need to find this specific list, bugs and tasks. How am I going to do that? So the output is it's an array of different lists. And I just want the ID of the bugs and tasks. So how am I going to do that? So here's a quick trick. map list ID. So I'll use the makes built-in function map, where I will input the array, and I want the ID, and you see it's not the list ID, it's the raw name, which is just ID, where the name is bugs and tasks. So this trick will output me the list ID, where the list name is bugs and tasks. But I just want this to run. First, I need to map here. Map, no, not map. Match folder names. So this is only going to happen when the client name is equal to the folder name. I'll just run once to test it. So out of this is to get the clients. Clients without delivery ID. This is folders from delivery folders. So we get the clients without delivery ID. We get the delivery folders. We match the folders with the projects, and then the output is just, hopefully, just an ID. So what we're going to do with that? See, if we have the ID, now we have to do is just to add that ID to the project's overview. So we need to edit the task with custom fields. The task we will edit is from the first module on test management and folderless lists and projects overview. Here we won't be selecting a task, but inserting the ID. Clients without delivery ID. This is the task ID. So that's this one I'm going to edit. And what I'm going to do is I will find that custom field, which is delivery task ID, and I will add this value, the list ID. So now, if we run this, values will be added here to this list. There we go. One is done. Okay. So now the project's overview is connected to the delivery space. That's the first step. And we can save that. For the second step, I will also do it here. The second step is I need to I will clone this. So this can happen like once a day. This is going to be slightly different. I will just list projects overview. So I want to list every project overview, and in this case I want all of them, so I will not filter by these, but I just want the active ones. Let me just see if that's the status. Yeah, that's the active ones. So I will just list the active ones. So if we have one, for example, if we just have one, if this client is frozen, client C is frozen, that means that this automation should only return 2 bundles. There we go. Client B and client A. The client C doesn't show up. So this is working. Let me defrost this client. Okay, then I want to list all tasks of the delivery of that project. How am I going to do that? I will list all tasks. Now I have a list ID, because the project's overview Under custom fields, now we have delivery task list ID. And I want to include close, and I also want to include subtasks. And I don't want a limit. So if I do this, I will just test with just one, so I don't blast too many operations. So this guy it brought client C, and here I have every single task of the client C delivery folder. In this case are 56, we can confirm that. So if we, let me expand the subtasks as separate tasks and also show the closed ones, closed subtasks as well. There we go, 56. So all tasks are there. So what we're gonna do next, then we will have a router because we're gonna do different operations, and we will aggregate these values. So every task we have, inside every task we have the time estimates in minutes, and we have we have the status, and we have somewhere the time tracked, if there's time tracked. It's not a custom field, it should be here. Maybe this task doesn't have time tracked. Okay, let me do this again. This is subscription. Let me just add some time tracked. Yeah, there's no time tracked here. Oopsie. Subscription. I'll just add some time track so we can actually work with it. 6 hours. 6 hours. So now we should be able to see that there. There we go. Time estimate in minutes and time spent. This 6 hours, it's probably milliseconds. So we're gonna need different operations. Let's start with time estimate. So we will have a numeric aggregator. The source module will be the list all tasks, and I will be summing the time estimate in minutes, but we want it in hours. So to convert from minutes to hours, we will just have to divide by 60, and this is list delivery tasks. This is some time estimates, and here we'll be doing something similar. Numeric aggregator, source module will be list all tasks, and then I'll be summing the time spent. This is in milliseconds. So from milliseconds to hours, we need to divide it by 3.6 million. I know this by heart because this has happened several times. So now we have some time tracked, and I also want how many have been closed, so we can have a progress. Let me just test this if this makes any sense. So once again, we're just getting the client C to get started. We'll list all tasks, and the time estimate, we see we're getting different values from all tasks, and we have a sum which is 585. And in this case, I think we don't have any time tracked here, it's just the one I've just inserted, and we have 6 hours. So it seems to be working. And I need one last calculation. This is a little bit more confusing for the progress. So for this, I will use an array aggregator. The source is the same, list all tasks. But here I want the total number of bundles to pass through. This is basically going to give me the total number of tasks that comes from here, and that's basically it. So it will carry the total number of tasks, but it will only allow the done tasks to calculate. Let me just confirm if this is the status. Done. Yeah. So I just want to know how many are done. Let me run this once again. Okay, so time estimate 585. Here. Time tracked 6 hours. And here, as you can see, we have 31 tasks that are done, but inside every one, we have the total number of bundles. So we have total tasks are 56 and 31 are done. So with this, we can calculate how many the progress. How are we going to do that? We will be adding that to ClickUp. So we will edit the task with custom fields. There's two similar modules, that's why I was confused. But if we know the lists, we can easily use this one instead of adding the custom fields like this. Doesn't matter. So we're selecting the project's overview, and the task we are editing is the first one that comes from list projects overview, of course. So this is the list ID, this is the task ID, and the first is the time estimates. Time estimated in hours. This is the result, this is the number, so these are the hours. In this case, it's a sum, but it can have some decimal numbers, and I don't want that. So I'll just do a rounds, just to have round numbers. Then I will clone this. The origin is the same, is that task ID, but in this case, I don't want to update the time estimated. I want to update the total time tracked. Time tracked. So I'll use rounds, this one. And here, oops, I will clone. And in this case, it's not the time tracked, it's the progress. Progress must be lower than or equal. So this number must be 100. So what we want here is, this is a number divided by the total number of bundles. This is also, it's also a number. Yeah, it should be good. But we need to multiply this by 100. By 100. So this should work. Let me erase these values on projects overview. So we test it live. Client C, I will erase the time estimates. I will erase the time tracked, and I will erase the progress. So now, let's hope. No errors. And on client, oops, I erased the wrong one. No, I did not. It was client C. 585, 6 hours time tracked, and the progress is 55% because we have 31 tasks done out of 56. So that makes sense. So this is how you integrate the delivery task lists into a centralized dashboard. And with this centralized dashboard, like you can this can be the source of many different automations, automated proposals, invoices, automated reporting, and so on. And yep, this is it about the first automation. Jumping into the second one. All right, jumping into the second automation. This automation, I called it action by tag, is much simpler, but it has a key concept that I think is very useful. So just for some context, this is it's an app development agency. It's an agency that develops apps basically, and they have the ability to tag tasks, backend, front end, and whatever else. And basically, they wanted a feature that if a task, for example, if a tag test, if a task gets tagged backend and front end, they wanted an automation that basically splits these tasks automatically into two tasks. I will update it. I will update the page. All right, as we can see, they wanted the ability for if I tag with both, it gets split into two tasks with the respective tag on each. It's kind of a simple automation, and you may be thinking that maybe we could do this in ClickUp automations because they have like when a task or subtask gets tag tag added, for example, front end, back end, if they get added, then we could perform an action. The thing is, the actions here, they are very limited. So yes, we could create a task or a subtask, but we cannot change the name of the task. We cannot remove tags. Um, so actually, we could change the tags, but it is quite limited. So what we can do is to have a broader options. Is we can call a webhook. So that's what this automation will do. So it will just back end, front end, and then I will call a webhook. For this, so this will basically open us a lot of oops. So this will open us a lot of options. So we'll create a new scenario, and our scenario will start with a webhook, custom webhook. You create a new one, like text example. You just create a webhook on make.com, and that's going to be our starting point in make.com. So we will copy this address, this webhook address, and we will call it here. Oops, we will paste it here. So what this means is from ClickUp, whenever a tag is added, these two tags are added, then we will call the webhook and we will have more flexibility to work with that task in make.com. So we can save that. Okay, so now let's test it. Let me just deactivate the real one so we're not cheating, and we'll create from scratch. So now we have this automation. Let me just run once, and let's test with these tags. There we go. So this is the information we get on make.com. We get the name of the task with all the information within. Okay, so now we get all this information. Now we'll start to manipulate it. So I want the function that if it gets both tags, it will split it. So my first filter, my first condition is having both tags. As we can see here, the tags, we get an array of collections. So we cannot filter. It's hard to access this information because it's inside collections of an array. So we'll do a simple trick here. We need set variable. We need just an array of the tags. So tag array. and we'll use again the make built-in function of mapping. We'll map the tags. We'll just map the name of the tags in the row, the name of the tag. Let's do again. Use existing data. So we get once again the same task. See the difference. Here we have an array of 2 collections, and here we have an array with just the name of the tags. So this way we can filter. What I mean by filtering is it's only going to get through if it gets both. So what the first thing we will do, we will create a duplicated task. We'll create a task. And we'll create a new task on ClickUp in the test delivery. Ooh, I don't want to choose the folder. I want to map it. So I will create a task advanced instead. This way the list ID will be the original list it comes from. Task name will be the original task name. I'll create the backend, let's say. So the duplicated will be the backend. I'll create the backend, and I think I can add already the backend tag. So I'm creating the duplicated backend with the backend tag. So that's the first thing I do. But I only want it to go through if it has both tags. So I will, if it contains backend and if it contains front end. It's only gonna get through if it has both. If it has just one, and we can test it. If it has just one, it will stop there. So let's test it with just one. This is blah blah, and it will just have one tag, backend. There we go. We got the task, blah blah. The tag array only contains backend, so it doesn't get through. Yes, it contains the backend, but it doesn't contain the front end. So it doesn't get through. So that's actually, let me test both. Run once. Now it's blah blah with both. So blah blah with both will have front end and back end. Oh, it already got through. So blah blah with both has a tag array with both tags, and it got through of the filter with both. So it got through, and it already created the blah blah with both backend with the backend tag. So now what we need is we need to edit the name of the original to front end and remove that backend tag. So that's the only thing that it's missing. Oops. So now we will edit the task. The task ID will be the original one, original task ID, and the task name will be the original name, but with front end after. So that's gonna edit this, create backend duplicate, and this is change original to front end, and then we will remove the tag. There's a function for that tag. remove tag from task. So we want to remove the tag from the original task, and we will remove the backend. Yeah, we'll remove the backend. Okay. So now it should work. And also, as we are we're creating a backend with the name backend, and we're changing the name for front end. I don't want them to get through this automation again. So I will exclude front end backend in names. So the task name, it does not contain front end, and task name does not contain backends. So it doesn't get cycled in again. So this should be working. Let's test final tests. So final test, it is running already? No. Whoops. Wait for new data. Okay, final tests. Because I added tags one at a time, I actually got through. It got through. So the final test with both tags, I got the tag array with both. It got through because it has both tags. I created the duplicated final test backend. I've changed the original name to front end, and I removed, well, the output doesn't matter, but I removed the tag. So let me just update this. This is it's once again, it's a simple automation, but the since I started using the webhook to get it out of ClickUp to work however I like in Make, like I do it most of the time because I just have so much more flexibility. So there we go. We have the final test frontend and the final test backend with the respective tags. And this is just to open your mind and your ideas with what you can do just by taking it out of ClickUp and working with webhooks, so you can manipulate your tasks and data in make.com. All right, jumping into the third automation, I called it link task to the current release. So basically, inside every client's folder, we'll have the task list, and we want the ability that by setting tasks as done or ready to test, I want to link them to the current build. Build are like releases. So as you can see, we have different builds. With basically, it has a lot of linked tasks that are the tasks that have been completed in this release. So it has this link of tasks, and it has like these release notes with all the features that have been implemented and the bugs that have been fixed. So we want the ability to build this. The starting point is similar to the last one. So basically, I will create an automation. I'll just do it in client C. I will create an automation that I want for ready to test. When ready to test, when tasks or subtasks have a status changes from any status to ready to test, I just want this. If the status changes to ready to test, I want to, you guessed it, right? Call a webhook. For that, we'll create a new scenario. This test 3, and we'll create a scenario. start with the webhook, custom webhook, add a new one, test 3, save, and now I have this address, copy address, and on ClickUp we'll close it with, we paste the webhook and we create it. That's about it. If the status changes to ready to test, we call the webhook. From the ClickUp side, this is basically it, and we can test this already. So it is running and waiting for information. On client C, we go to the tasks, and I'll hide the closed ones. So if we have a test, we have the tests task, and we set it to ready to test. So now it's ready to test. Let's see from make. I got the information already. So the test task has been set to ready to test. So I got this information. So now I need to find this list. So it's basically another list in the same folder. So all we have here is we just have the folder ID. We don't have the other information. So we need to know the lists from this folder. So I will search for the lists, list all lists maybe. There we go. List all lists from this folder, from that folder ID. Save, run once. So tests, that can be, my god, it's misspelled, but make sure it's different. Ready to test. We should go through. There we go. There we go. We have all the lists inside that folder. So now we want the builds. So only that one gets through. And now we want to find, because the lists will have different status, I want to find the only build, because we only have one at a time. I want to find the only build that has the status standby. Standby. Let me delete this. So I actually created from scratch. It has no linked tasks. Hello? No linked tasks, and the release notes are empty. Okay, so I want to find, so as we see, it's empty now. I want to find the only build that has the status standby. So now we have the lists, and we will list filter tasks, list filter tasks. Before we get through, we only gonna get only builds. The list name is equal to builds. So now only that one is going to get through. List filter tasks from test delivery. The list ID will be that list ID, and the status will be standby without space. So let's test that. Let me get that ID. Run this module manually with this ID. Total numbers of 0. From test delivery, list ID, include closed. Why is that? Oh, because maybe I got the wrong one. Hello? Okay, I need this ID. I think I got the wrong ID. We get this ID. So if you share it and you copy the link to a new tab, this is this last ID is the list ID. If this doesn't work, aha, okay. So insert version name. Yeah, we're supposed to add, but this is the only build or release that is in status standby. So now we already have that. Next step is we want to link the original task to that build. Original task. This is get lists from some folder. It only builds get through. Get standby builds. Always name your module so you don't get lost. It happens very often. So next step, we will link the original task to the build. How are we going to do that? So if you go to the ClickUp API documentation, they have that feature, but we don't have that module on make.com. It's like link that doesn't exist. So we need to create almost a raw API call. But it's basically, so if you make an API call, you paste the URL that they give us, enter a path relative to, for example, v2. So it starts with the v2. And we replace the task ID with the build to get the task attached to. And here, this ID is the task we want to attach. That will be the original task ID. But this is not enough. It's actually, because I've been through this, so we can see in the documentation, first the request is a post type, and on the body, the JSON body is expecting something like this. A very simple JSON with the ID. All right, so now we can test this once again. On to the task test tests, and I will set it the status as ready to test. That was quick. Test tests. Now we got it through. Okay, so now it linked to, and we can check it by, if we go to the builds, we see it's now linked task, the insert version name build that we should change the name at some point. It has a linked task, but we also want to update the release notes and to add something here just to have it listed. And that will be a simple, we just need to edit the task with custom fields, advanced. And from the standby builds, I want to know the custom field that is the release notes. Release notes. So I want to edit the task ID, which is the get standby builds. So this is the build ID, and I am going to change. This is the custom ID for the release notes. Type text, and the value will be, so from the standby build, from the build itself, it already comes with something, which will be, it's not this, but we can do a trick. If you open a new tab, custom fields release date, it's not going to be release date, it's going to be release notes. So should notes. If we can't map anything, we can just copy paste to a new tab and change the value. Release notes. So it will carry the original value. I'll just trim it just to clean it a little bit. I will add a new line, and then will be just the name of the task, just to make it simple. Or maybe we can even do, no, let's do just the name, just for to make it simple. So basically what I'm doing here is I want to edit the release notes just by adding a new line with the new task. Um, so now we can do a final test. Wait for new data. Bugs and tasks. Final tests. It's a little bit slow because I'm recording at the same time. Final test, and here I will put ready to test. So now there we go. We got the final tests. It linked and added. So now if we go to builds, we should see two attached tasks. There you go. Linked tasks will be the test and the final test. And the release notes, I will have the final test. Well, it should be clean here, but final test. So it will basically just list, and we can add more information here. We can, for example, have the task ID. Maybe if it is a subtask, the parent task, whatever. So this we can change this by improving a little bit the formatting here. And that's been it. I hope you took some value from this. Maybe you got some ideas to implement in your own system. These automations are just a few of a big system that I've developed for agencies that include automated proposals and automated invoices. If you'd like to see, I've created a whole video just showcasing all these automations in this system. Check the video below, or the link is in the description. If you'd like to see some automation templates, check FlowShift.ai. We have some templates for all sorts of functions. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to see more content like this, let me know in the comments and leave your like. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.